We have had a turn in our weather, and with the hard rains this week, we've even had a teeny tiny taste of, dare I say, winter. The snow was flying earlier this week, which means it's time. It's a prompt from Mother Nature that now is the time to put the yard to bed. So we have your checklist. Assistant Professor of Horticulture with Utah State Extension, Sheriden Hansen, is joining me on the Studio 5 Plaza. When I say the words "put the garden to bed," do you shed a tear?
A little bit, but part of me is ready. You know,
Okay.
you kind of need that break, and this is the most beautiful season. It's my favorite time to be out in the garden, so what better time to be out working and putting things to bed and kind of wrapping things up than in the fall.
I told Sheriden before the show we had a marital spat on Sunday when Mark cut down the fall grasses, and I ran out in my pajamas saying, "What are you doing?
How dare you?
How dare you?" I know there's parts we want to hang on to, but you're right, it's time, and we can get excited about that for different reasons. Why is fall garden work so important?
Because everything you do right now will affect how your garden looks in the spring. So we want to tie up all the loose ends. We want to take care of things. We want to lessen our workload in the spring, and we can really do that by digging in right now.
Give us the overarching big picture, the goal, what we're trying to accomplish, basically.
Yeah, we're basically cleaning up. We're making the garden look good. We're thinking about next year. We're having this forward kind of thought process where we're kind of thinking about what we want next year, going through everything that worked and didn't work this year.
This sounds like a coping psychology.
Right, gardening has a lot of psychology to it. So
we're thinking of spring as we're preparing for winter.
Right, that's exactly what it is.
Here are some specifics on your checklist. We're going to cut back our perennials.
We are, and I've got an iris right here. I was up at a nursery yesterday, and you can see they are already starting to cut back their perennials that are in pots. And basically, we're looking at plants that are not woody. So if you have something like lavender or sage, we're not going to necessarily cut back those woody plants, but these ones that are flexible, that have those green soft stems, you know, you're going to cut those back to a few inches above the ground. If this was in my garden, I absolutely would cut it back just a little bit more. All of this is going to die back over the winter, and I'm going to have to come back and clean it up a little bit in the spring, but it makes it less gooey and less sticky.
So it doesn't affect growth or success in the spring, but it just lightens our load.
It does, and it makes your yard look better going into fall and winter for sure.
We're going to divide our perennials.
We are. So if you've got a plant that needs to be divided, so we're going back to grasses. I'm sorry, it's like traumatic.
Oh my gosh,
right?
it's like salt in my wound.
You can dig up things like grasses, plants that you feel have taken too much space in your garden, and once you get them dug up, and you can either dig them up with like a fork like this, you can use a shovel. If you've got two forks, you can just skewer it right in the middle and use two forks to pull it apart.
Okay.
Once you get it up and out of the ground, it's really easy. I use an old bread knife, just one that is not great for the kitchen anymore, and I simply just cut through all of that root material, that root ball, and then I can take and place this in two separate spots in my garden, or give one to a friend, or chuck it, whatever I need.
So if it's gotten too big or it's grown out of its space.
Right, yes, and this is a great time to do it because those roots can get reestablished. It's not too hot. We're not going to put the plants into shock. So great time to
What about annuals?
Annuals. So if you have annuals, things like petunias or something in your garden that's not going to overwinter well, now's the time to take those out. If you have vegetables in the garden, it's time to take those out because they're not going to overwinter. They're just going to make a mess, and it's going to be gooey and a mess to clean up in the spring. So you can also take things out like the peppers and replace with something like a cold hardy cabbage and still have that beautiful look.
Okay.
But we're getting rid of the stuff that's going to die back.
I do love the cabbage.
Oh, 100%.
Again, the color,
so pretty,
a Band-Aid, a balm to our gardening hearts.
Yeah.
Leaves are starting to fall?
Leaves are starting to fall. So a lot of the times we bag these or we put these into our garbage cans. There are better ways to use these. These are incredible mulch. If I will take and run over these with my lawnmower and suck them up in my lawnmower bag, I can put those out in my vegetable garden, mix them in, use them as organic matter. So that's what builds soil. Tilth is the word. It's like the texture and the health of the soil.
So this is a move that will affect growth.
Absolutely, will totally affect our growth.
Yeah.
You don't want to put too much, a couple inches, you know, and if you'll grind them up first in that lawnmower, if you can, it will make them break down faster. And then when it's time to plant in the spring, I've got this beautiful loamy soil, and this is like the magic bullet for soil. If you've got clay soil, we add organic matter, and that can be leaves. If we've got sandy soil, we add organic matter. So this is a way to fix all of those things.
Okay, winter does bring a welcomed relief in our war against weeds, but you say it's worth one more good battle.
It is. It's worth one more battle. So if you've got weeds in your beds and you can hand weed those out, please do that, because that will reduce the amount of seed that is left to overwinter and will sprout in the spring. If you have weeds in your lawn, our temperatures are just right now. so that we can take and use a broadleaf weed killer on the lawn, get rid of those, so then when spring comes, we've got that beautiful lush lawn. We're not battling the weeds in the spring. We took care of them in the fall.
We did our jobs.
We did.
And we're better because of it, so are our yards. A few things to plant: garlic.
Garlic, yes. So if you are a garlic lover like me, October is the time to plant your garlic. You're going to plant them about 6 inches deep, 6 to 8 inches apart in the garden. You can take your leaves and use your leaf mulch over the top of them to kind of protect them from those cold winter temperatures, and it will be the first thing that comes up in the spring that, you know, you're like, okay, the garden is alive, I'm doing good.
There's that spring talk again.
Right?
Okay, what else can we plant? Should we plant?
Trees, shrubs, bulbs, all of these different things can be planted, and it's a great time to visit the nursery because you can see the fall color on the plants that you're wanting to plant, and a lot of the plants are discounted. So I was up at the greenhouse in Logan yesterday because I had to be in Logan, stopped, and everything is 30% off. Great time to grab trees, shrubs, those more expensive items. They'll establish well in the fall, and then they'll just get that kickstart, that jump start in the spring, so that they can put on that great growth. And then the bulbs, things like daffodils, tulips, things like that, will give you that first flush of color early in the spring.
All right, and this isn't about false joy or satisfaction. You want us to plan and dream for next year, and now it's fresh on our minds. Like, what went well, what didn't work?
Right, and I want you to kind of think about that garden. If you have a vegetable garden and you need to crop rotate, go take a picture before you rip it out. That will give you an idea of where everything was, what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
Also, I sit down and I organize my seeds. So
Look
you
at
can
you!
see the seeds are all ready for next year.
Oh, it's
and
fantastic. Look at that.
I've kind of mapped out what I want to do for next year.
Yeah.
You know, I keep a little garden journal, so I kind of know what things I'm looking at next year, and then I can scratch things off and kind of adjust as I think about it over the winter. So it's not too early to plan.
This makes me so happy. Also, you have handwriting you could sell in case you're ever looking to make a buck.
Okay, well, hit me up.
Sheriden, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Things we should be doing, could be doing right now as we put that garden to bed, as we like to say, for fall. Before we say goodbye, tell us about classes and fall activities happening at the USU Botanical Center.
Yeah, we still have things coming up. We have a garlic class next week, and we still have room. So if you want to get in on the garlic, go to usubotanicalcenter.org and sign up for that class. We've also got walks with the director, a cupcake decorating class, all kinds of fun things coming up.
Fun. We'll link you to their website from ours, studio5.ksl.com. Thanks again, Sheriden. Great information.